7 o'clock, call planning board meeting to order. Make sure we got the audio and video working.
Yeah, it's like we're good.
Okay, let's start the previous meeting minutes that have been distributed. Any comments, questions? Good motion to approve it.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Treasurer's report, any updates on that?
Nope.
Plans report was distributed. Any updates or then?
No,
Look busy.
yeah, I'm still looking for volunteers to be on the bylaw rewrite committee.
What
But no,
what is the schedule? Is?
I don't have a schedule yet because I need people to schedule.
Oh, okay.
So-
No, I do. When do you want to have the bylaws?
When do you want to do it by?
Oh,
That's what I meant.
I'll have to look at what we scheduled for, but I believe we scheduled for a year to have a final product within a year.
If it's the end of April, I should be free of one of my jobs.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I can.
Because tradition is we appoint that when somebody misses a meeting.
Yeah, no, they're not normal here. So that's why everyone's here.
it's a good incentive to come to these meetings.
All right, so let's move up the on the master plan. You want to move that up just now? Because I do have some questions for the board on the housing component. If you could bring up 2005. It's very brief. The opening is it's just 3 sections as to what is included. It's the last one. That's all of the detail goes in the achievements that they're hoping to get. But you have that.
Yeah.
Wanted you guys to look at it, see if there's any words we need to add, or if we like the intent, the scope, focus.
Two 2026, I was sorry.
I did find the 1966 on Facebook was the only place it was available. Pictures. Getting there. All right, there. So the goals are 4.2, that sentence. Does it still fit? I believe it does. Diversity of housing, affordability while maintaining a largely single-family character. Doesn't say exclusively. But how does that sentence look there?
Ay.
That's what we came up with. I think we took that from Granby, Connecticut. Matter of fact,
Oh, yeah.
in 2000. We took most, did you know we took most of our stuff from Granby? We took it from New Jersey. That's how we got our zoning.
Passing up and down the eastern seaboard.
But
You know, I'm not, I've had a busy week, so I'm not coherent right now, but when it says provide a diversity of housing affordability,
well, that's the goal.
it's a goal, no, but I'm just thinking that needs to be more stressed, and I'm also a little bit, we want to maintain a largely, we talk about single family, rural small town character is largely single family, and it just seems like we're being redundant there.
And if maintaining largely single family is actually sort of counterproductive to the beginning of that,
Yeah.
to the affordability. piece of
Yeah.
that
Well, take a
sentence.
look at it and see if there's any edits that we can do for it.
Can you possibly send just that page? Thank you.
And if you look at the objectives, they're pretty much the same. The objectives, you can add, I don't know if there's many more we need than that. We do need to, like number 6 is important. We're working on now. we don't really coordinate housing development with municipal services, but that's a big thing, like a site plan. If you look at the site plan, it's almost all utilities. When we do a site plan, it'll be almost all utilities.
3 is important.
So that's the next one. I'd like them to come in. So if you look at what's the one with the, keep going down, where they actually put in.
Like the recommendations?
Yeah, population, you were working on that. You have a sort of a demographic or a table, something that, for population.
Yeah, I have I got together like an existing conditions and demographics section on its own.
How long ago was the demographics
Uh,
census?
oh, so there's the 2020 decennial census, and then I've been using the 2024 American Community Survey 5-year estimate, but that's slightly less accurate. So I'm using sort of a mix.
So we can update, the population with just the numbers, but we should take a look at, the board should take a look at the objectives and see if those still fit with what you see as how we proceed with our housing objectives. And keep going down. The last one, keep going. And there's one, the key, there's a thing there that says where you put in your key stuff. Do we really want to put in with all this stuff?
I don't know what this stuff is.
It's rental demand, it's all of the,
I can show you a bit of what I have so far. As far as like an update, because some of it changed and some of it is the same.
see, you really want to keep that kind of a thing that, and if we have a shortage, because we said still true today. These, if you read that and it's still true, we should leave it. But there's some things that said we need, already done, we have seen, one of it said we need a community center. That.
Yeah, there's a whole section on housing issues that I was gonna kind of touch on based off of just the demographics and data and all that. But I was not planning on updating the recommendations. I'm just hoping that
Okay,
planning board and affordable housing trust could do that together.
I will be on this group and I will work on the affordable housing section, which Tom's been asking me to do for like months. Now, I ignore him.
nicely too.
Say what? Say what?
Nicely.
So yeah, there's a lot of recommendations that refer to other sections of the master plan. But for the next meeting, I can have those all typed out. It's easier to look at.
And I'd like them to come in and tell us, what we can do for them, because we want to take
Who is them?
the housing,
Affordable housing trust.
yes.
I also, it's to strengthen the open space bylaw. I feel like our open space subdivision bylaw has so many regulations in it that nobody ever uses it. I think we need to, take a hard look at whether we're actually discouraging open space subdivisions by virtue of the way the bylaws.
I like to look at the difference. What are we making them do with that we don't make them do with a senior housing or something else that's clustered, open spaces, smaller lots, right? What else do we do in other actually subdivisions? So that would be, that's a big one. That's why we picked this one first, there's a lot going into that. But as long as the goal stays, our goal and objective is the same as it was, 10% open space, 10% affordable one. Look at our zoning, we are looking at our zoning right now, so. Questions on that, comments? Well, our first hearing is not till 7:15.
No,
7:05.
Oh, it's 7. Okay, let me set them right over. All right, so then let's suspend the scheduled meeting and this is a reopening.
Yeah.
Reopen the continued public hearing for East Street Estates, proposed 17 lots.
You have John Federico from Gary and Halnon on represent the applicant.
Okay, can you bring us up to speed?
Sure. I do have a copy of the plan that I can present to the board, but just as a very general update for things. Um, Unfortunately, with some of the snow and everything we had to delay our borings for the wall design and culvert crossing. However, earlier this month, thankfully to the nice break in weather that we did have, we were able to get that completed. Currently, we're still waiting for the revised boring report and structural design of the wall to be completed. Once that is in hand, we'll proceed forward with addressing the remaining portion of Stantec's comments, and then we'll have a revised plan and submission back to Stantec and to the board, and we can go further into some design changes that we may or may not have to make there.
What do you expect
Else,
on that? What are you expecting for time on that? Month?
right now, from the date of completion of the borings, which was first week of March, our consultant estimated between anywhere from 2 weeks to 4 weeks to have the full design and everything completed. Right now, we're just around that 2 week mark or so. So I'm expecting some type of update within the next week or so on a final status for that. I can definitely get some more information and provide that to Mike just to update the board on that end.
Well, we need to know tonight how long to continue the next public hearing too.
As of
Okay.
right now, since we would have a little bit of extra design just to address the Stantec comments, I would probably say a month would be reasonable in that end, just to give our consultant a little bit of time and give us a little bit of time to get some stuff back in front of peer review before we come into that meeting.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. Outside of that, we have concurrently met with the Department of Public Works regarding the improvements to the right-of-way, specifically the sidewalk crossing. And I do have that plan if anybody would like to see it.
Please, Pete.
Essentially, I'm sorry?
Why don't you put that up on the screen if you would?
Sure. Let me just share that one moment here. Okay, that should be up in front of everybody right now. Is anybody having trouble seeing that?
Do you have the town lines there as well?
Yes, this dark line here with the slight spacing is the town line. Our right-of-way line is represented by this solid line here. And then we do have East Street as this slightly lighter line that is shown on both sides of the road here. This dark line in the center is essentially the center line striping for that roadway. So just as a very brief update, and I apologies because I believe this print had a minor error here, but essentially the roadway that we're proposing is lined up as previously discussed with Rockwood. So center line would match up with the Rockwood center line here. Previously, when we were in front of the board, we were going to be crossing East Street here, crossing over Rockwood Lane, and then running our sidewalk down. We have made the lined up as previously discussed with Rockwood. So center line would match up with the Rockwood center line here. Previously, when we were in front of the board, we were going to be crossing East Street here, crossing over Rockwood Lane, and then running our sidewalk down. We have made the revision to keep the initial crossing on our portion of the property. We would then have the similar crossing that we were initially proposing that would be going across East Street. And then we will be running our sidewalk within the right-of-way up to the parking area for the larger tract of land and the recreational area that's up there. We have reviewed the letter that came in from Rockwood's Board of Trustees, and we are not arguing anything with that letter. We will be making sure that the sidewalk here is going to be meeting ADA compliancy. We have discussed with Mr. Westgate of the DPW a few options for the sidewalk. Currently, we will be proposing just off of the right-of-way line where our sidewalk would be located so that we can provide a small grass strip in between the sidewalk and the current edge of roadway. And we will be installing a Cape Cod berm at his request to help protect some of the area in between where that sidewalk and the roadway will be located. In the event, if we are running into grading issues, since we do not want to go onto the Rockwood property at all, we can, as Mr. Westgate has approved with us, abut the sidewalk against the roadway. However, if we do go with that option, we would need a vertical granite curb in place. So we will be, as a part of our next submission, finalizing that portion of the design and can make sure that we have some clear callouts and everything for the board on that end. But in terms of a couple of the other points that were mentioned in the Rockwood letter, we will be working with the utility company to have the utility pole relocated. Unfortunately, we cannot go to the west side of the street just due to how tight the roadway is with the existing right-of-way line that's out there. But with this revision, at least we will be helping reduce some of the extra crossings, particularly on a more heavy travel way, being Rockwood Lane. We would still be proposing the same right-of-way improvements, such as the crosswalk signage, as needed out there, to warn any vehicles on that roadway that there is that crossing that will be coming up. We would not be having any tie-in. Oops, sorry.
Before you move on, off that's a pretty heavy travel road. Was there any discussion about signaling or signage or any kind of pedestrian control on the road?
Mr. Westgate did not indicate anything to us about that, but we do have signs that would be proposed on either side of the crosswalk, warning that there would be a pedestrian crossing there. And we are intending that to be flashing signage so that it is alerting any drivers well before they get to that area. That there is going to be something there.
Will it be one of those signs that actually responds to people coming up to the crosswalk?
I don't believe that would necessarily be the case. Some options that we were initially looking at were just a standard, like a sign that would have like a solar panel on it. And that would constantly be flashing just to add as a warning there at all times. But if the board would like us to look into a different option, such as like a signalized crosswalk, as you were asking, we can definitely look into that and discuss with the applicant as needed.
Comments on that?
I would push for the signal one just because people will get used to that. flashing
Yeah,
light.
that's what I was thinking. If the flashing light is flashing all the time, it's not there.
Yeah.
I know, I agree. The rectangular rapid flashing beacons, RFBs are the best to use. So I prefer to do that.
Is that something you can take a look at?
Yes, we could definitely take a look at that. And if we need any sort of justification for what our proposal is, we'll make sure that we do include that in our response back to the town when this plan set's ready to come back in front of everybody.
Thank you.
And there was also the issue about the parking in the letter about,
Yes, regarding that, we do extend our apologies for any lapse in communications with any consultants or anybody on that. We have been making sure to make our best efforts to notify anybody that will be going to the site that they cannot park on Rockwood Lane itself or within the community space. And we'll keep making sure that we do those efforts there. Unfortunately, when we were doing the borings, that was the most recent situation that had come up. Our boring team was not sure about parking at the parking area just to the north here. And unfortunately, with the size of the rig that they had, they couldn't just pull off to the side of the road a little bit further down from where our site entrance was. So they just made a split-second decision there. But we did notify everybody, and we did try to get them off that portion of the property as quickly as possible. But again, our apologies on that end for it.
so in the future, just out of curiosity, when you have a big rig come in and they can't pull over to the side of the road, where are they gonna park?
So in that situation there, we would essentially have a much larger construction entrance built up by the time we're expecting heavy vehicles there. So they will be able to get onto the site much more easily. Or if we know that there would be extended time periods within East Street itself that a vehicle will be there, the applicant will obviously coordinate with Upton Police Department to have a detail or potential flagman out there just to do so. With this one here, we were intending to have the rig pull onto the site, but just with the recent thaw that we had, ground was soft and they couldn't just pull right off without getting their rig stuck. So that's where they had just pulled into the parking area as they were trying to call to coordinate on an additional parking location for that.
Okay, so a month from now will be the fourth Tuesday in April is the 28th.
Yeah.
So would you like,
Any comments from audience?
all right, before we do that, is there anything else that you have for us?
As far as my presentation goes, that was generally it for the major updates that we have, but I'd be more than happy to answer any other questions from audience members of the board.
Okay, board members first, any questions? All right, go ahead.
I have a question for the engineer. Mark Amato at 11 East Street. On the drawing that you have up now, and you see the parcel that's indicated parcel A with a heavy dark line just
Mhm.
above that. That I assume is my property line. The dash,
Yes, that is correct, but I do acknowledge this was just a very quick print that I did. So I believe this exact property line and our roadway layout here didn't plot properly. So please don't use this as like an exact reference point for where any easements or property lines will be located.
that's my question, is about the dashed easement line looks awfully close to my building there.
Yes, no, the easement line that we are proposing is, and I'm just going to swap over to a different plan here, is the original easement line that has been shown. There is no changes to that. That is essentially what we have been intending the whole time. Let me just flip to an existing conditions plan just to help illustrate that area a little bit better.
Those lines are surveyor, not by engineer, so those are quite different.
So
Survey.
this is lining up a little bit better here. Sorry, I don't have a plan that perfectly captures that area, but it is intended to be the 30-foot temporary grading easement. It's not properly depicted on that exhibit plan that I just showed everybody for the crossing, so I do apologize for that.
Anybody? Questions? Concerns? We're gonna be continuing in this until, for,
One more question.
yeah, sure.
Will you be identifying the property bound and the easement prior to construction?
Yes, that should not be a problem or anything. We would be intending to have erosion control there, since that area would be sloping towards your property. But if you would need us to identify exact start and any transition points along that easement line, our survey team would be more than happy to put in a couple stakes for you so that it's very clear for everybody.
So how do we make that happen?
I'll make a note of it on my end right now, and pending project approval, we'll make sure that that's one of the first things that we do have staked out for you folks before we start mobilizing or anything out there. If the board needs to add that as a condition, I can accept that as a condition, not a problem.
All right, I'd like to have somebody from the board with the town involved as well. This is gonna be something that has to be on the plan before we sign it. So I would like to do that through our office if we could. If there's a, and if it's been a butter, wants an official walk through with your surveyor, let the town know first.
Okay, not a
But
problem
Mike-
for that.
And then contact Mike when it's gonna happen. Either we'll let you know, give them a name, we'll let you know when it's happening, but I'd like to be there because that's, anything's wrong, it's gonna come up at the next meeting. I'd like to know about it. Anybody else? Go ahead.
I've got a question. Like move the rock, those part of the numbers. Right now, we're indemnified by mass law for anything that happens up in that Peppercorn Hill parking lot. If anything happens, we have no liability, it's on the state. Now we're talking about taking the sidewalk from the parking lot, the Peppercorn, all the way down to our clubhouse. So if something happens there, this easement that we gave to Peppercorn Hill, the Conservation Committee, we have no exposure. you know, of exposure, anything that happens along that sidewalk, any accident, et cetera.
What happens there
And
now?
I could, excuse me,
What goes on there now? Is there any chance of an accident happening today? Is there people walking that way now to get to?
there's no conducive place for a person to walk there. People don't walk on that street, they don't run the street.
I see people on bicycles on that street. I mean, it's gonna be within the town right of way. The sidewalk will be within town right of way, so anything on a sidewalk is the town's problem, not the adjacent landowners.
Well, my question was, is there traffic there now? I mean,
No traffic, very little. I'll say there's none, very little.
There's a lot of traffic in the parking lot.
Yeah.
I would like to recommend to the developer, just park your trucks up on Peppercorn, that's gravel, you're not gonna damage it, that's where they moved the other day, and so, I think, you know, you tell the contractors, don't go there, just tell them to park up in Peppercorn for them. It's a convenient place, it'll stop the aggravation in our place.
well, as soon as they start the roadway construction, they'll be parking their vehicles, large vehicles inside. Now it's just their surveying, their crews, their parking. Any other?
Rockwood Meadows also. So our condo attorney had a concern. I believe the development that's going in has no age restrictions, right? So I could assume that there might be some kids with bikes, as you were alluding to. They're concerned that someone from the East Street development will come across the crosswalk and have kids with them on bikes or whatever. We are a very appealing spot. A big parking lot in front of our clubhouse. If anybody has children or grandchildren, you know, once you've got them on their bikes, they kind of wander off. He was concerned about our liability because, yes, the easement is the town's, but once you're in that parking lot, that's our private property. So we might be concerned about some extensive posting, more so than our little sign that says private property. We have a lawsuit now for someone who slipped and fell in that parking lot.
What I would recommend is that these do not go, and then from there they go to our attorney, the town's attorney.
Yeah.
These are questions that probably are best answered by our attorney as far as
Because it's private property, I don't think town council could.
they could tell us what liability is on the sidewalk that's on our thing. What's the liability on the crosswalk across the street?
Sure.
And what's the liability until it gets to the Hopkinton town line or the private property?
Well, I think her concern
Is
is
it
the
on
private
their
property.
private property?
And the question is, you mentioned signage.
We do have a no, private
Yeah.
property sign.
But we're
Little sign.
looking for assistance in
You don't think it's a good question?
more bigger signs and.
I think it's one of the things we have to consider because, you do have that right of way. You can approve this project and it could be just as it's being shown here on our side of the road. But it's a sidewalk, then a big opening to our parking lot, then I guess the sidewalk will go between the two spaces in the parking lot and then it's our parking lot again. And then the sidewalk will go to the Peppercorn parking lot. But somebody, kids walking or an adult, they're not gonna say, oh, look, we just passed the town right away. Now we're on their private property. But we just worry about it because as I said, we already have a lawsuit for slip and fall.
Well, I guess I'm gonna disagree that this is supposedly covered by a general liability policy. Does what's being proposed increase any chance of liability? I think that's a question for an attorney.
Well,
Okay.
on private property?
On whatever being proposed here, whatever they're proposing, from where it goes to where it ends up, is there any increased liability for the town of Upton other than just a general?
Right, but I think her concern is
Is on
that
their private.
this kind of directs people towards their private lot. And it's intuitive that people who are going up there who want to ride their bikes in circles may end up in that private lot. And I think her concern is how to control that so that it doesn't.
And I think that a lot of that, it always comes down to signage.
Yeah.
Private property signage, no trespassing.
Does that have access directly to the main street or is it only off of Rockwood?
No, it's right.
Right on the street. Right on East Street, yeah.
It's the
I
old
would say
farm
close off when it goes to the main street. It's less inviting.
All right, I'll ask some questions on that, because I don't want to increase the town's liability.
Right.
And if
Prefer
what's
not to
being
increase
proposed,
liability.
if what's being proposed is fine, and it's just your personal liability, then maybe we help with signage, don't go on, maybe it's something we do like with the crosswalk. Yeah,
Yeah, quick question. Is the DPW going to be maintaining the sidewalk during snow?
well, it'd be the last one on the list, but yeah.
I've got just one general question, excuse my stupidity. Why can't people just drive there? Why do they have to walk from this new zone? It's a quarter mile. I mean, what's carriage on their side, our side?
Well, the whole intention of open space is to be inside this development. This is for the people inside.
It's supposed to be inside the development.
So it's supposed to be,
Why
but
don't we put it inside the development?
because we give them an option, if they can provide open space for more than just the development. And improve the whole neighborhood's open space development, instead of just having it inside their developmental, and if there's some way to do open space for the whole neighborhood,
For the town.
give it a shot, let us know, because that may be something that's worth waiving. If you can increase the opportunity for open space in the entire neighborhood just for this new, instead of this subdivision, that's what they're proposing.
And to be honest, there are people like myself that if I'm gonna go for a hike and the trailhead is a quarter of a mile from my house, you couldn't pay me to drive there. I mean, it's not a walk the point.
Because you're going out and,
I guess, and to go on with your, it seems in prior meetings, the issue was that the development didn't have enough land that wasn't wetlands or restricted to provide the 10% open space. So somebody on the board suggested, oh, well, why don't we have some kind of a way to connect it to Peppercorn Hill? That's where this whole thing with the sidewalk crossing the road, this safe,
Again,
this
that's
unsafe.
predicated on, can you help the neighborhood instead of just the people in the subdivision? Is that, if that's not possible, then 10% open space usable for park or playground, it's said in the subdivision.
But my understanding was that there wasn't.
They have no choice. The planning board says we reject your open space outside the subdivision. That's a planning board call.
Right.
So, their job is to convince us one way or another. It's okay to put it outside the subdivision, get you an extra lot or two. Or put it inside and.
Give it and give up a lot? Would that be the?
Well, it's the way it is for the town, not for them. It's what's in the interest for you and us, not for. Get them on one more lot.
So has the town approved the sidewalk or is the town still debating?
It doesn't put anything in. The sidewalk wouldn't be us anyway. That sidewalk is part of the town's right away, which goes to the select.
So has the town approved the fact that they do not need the recreational land in their development?
They haven't got that far yet.
Okay. And I think the town should think very strongly of the fact you've got a major road there. You know, the speed limit is 30. I can assure you, no one goes less than 40. And some of them go more than 45, and some of them are 18 wheelers, and it's a difficult road, both from the west side and the east side. It's a dangerous road. I, appreciate the fact that you could walk there, but I'm telling you, people that live in Rockwood, when we come to Rockwood and East Street there, we are nervous to go out onto that road. It is dangerous. And now we're gonna put children and ladies like yourself walking on that street, and I'm telling you, cars barrel north on East Street. And if you don't believe me, have a cop just sit in our parking lot, and even issue tickets and see how fast cars come down there. You cannot drive onto East Street without taking your life in your hand and making a right-hand turn there going north. So, I understand developers are eating a lot. I appreciate that, but I'm telling you, when that first kid gets hit, because we have a little flashing light that 18-wheeler didn't see going down East Street, everybody remember that.
All right, well, I'm gonna continue this public hearing until April 28th, 7:05. June, well, that'll be summertime.
And through the chair, John, if we could get an extension of the constructive grant deadline till at least May 31st.
Sure. I will talk to Jim and we will get that over to you tomorrow.
Appreciate it.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
So I'm going to resume the regularly scheduled meeting and then suspend it for continued public hearing, 130 South Street. For subdivision for 4 lots.
And again, we have John Federico on from Perry and Hellman.
Well, go ahead.
Okay.
Where are we on this one?
So I do have a set of plans that I can fully present for this one here. If you would bear with me one moment. Okay. So we have made several revisions to our plan set here. Primarily, we have addressed concerns about the 3% leveling area for 75 feet and have updated our design accordingly to reflect any new grades associated with that. In addition to that, we have added in the open space parcel meeting a minimum of a 10% value that is located rear corner of the site. That would help protect the wetland area a little bit, as noted by the Conservation Commission. We have gone through and updated our stormwater calcs and provided any additional information as requested by Stantec on that stormwater review for it. I'd be more than happy to go over anything specific for you folks on this one here. But as a separate update, we have made sure in our layout plan to address concerns from Stantec. One moment here. We have removed driveway connections coming off of South Street, as our frontage is now going to be provided off of Road A here. Have proposed a new driveway connection there. We've also met with the DPW on this portion of the site to get their opinions regarding our waiver request for the less than 4 feet of cover over the pipes. Mr. Westgate has not expressed any direct issues with our proposal. And he has asked for peer review to provide any comments or issues that they might see on their end. Pending Stantec's third review here, we will be having a second meeting with Mr. Westgate to review final findings and get a formal letter issued from him on how that portion of our waiver list will be requested. But Mr. Westgate has confirmed with us that there is no water or sewer that is available in the area. So we still are including on our waiver list the request to waive connection to any town public water or sewer. Primarily the design is remaining as the same. But again, we have just updated our calcs accordingly for the new roadway grades here. And just to jump down to the plan and profile sheet.
Before you move on the depth of cover, if I may.
Yes.
What is it you're doing differently than you would do with a standard depth? Are you using different pipes or using different
Yes.
materials?
So as noted on our waiver list, our response letter, as well as what we have noted for our plans, in any locations where we will be having less than the 4 feet of cover, we are proposing a Class 5 RCP, which is a much more durable concrete pipe. That one there is something that Mr. Westgate had acknowledged is a suitable alternative in terms of durability of the pipe and long-term longevity for that pipe. That is currently what we are going to be using out in any areas with less than 4 foot. Where we do have.
What about material for the pipe cover? The cover that covers the different material?
So it will just be a standard concrete pipe. I believe it has a longer cure time for it, so it is a much stronger concrete strength. But as of right now, we're not necessarily proposing anything extra for that pipe, other than just standard backfill and crushed stone base to support the pipe.
So DPW has sent that out for peer review, or we're gonna?
No, No, we had
Stands.
just met with them to discuss with them on this pipe if they had any direct concerns or if they needed us to address anything prior to our resubmission. So as of right now, Mr. Westgate did not express any concerns with what we were proposing, but he did just ask for peer review to look into it. And if they had any further comments or questions, we would then meet back with Mr. Westgate and adjust our design as needed for it.
Are you able to provide the board with other places where this has been done?
In New England.
I can look into that for you. I don't have any off the top of my head at this moment, but I can definitely inquire and look into that.
I don't want to be a test case for a new type of piping.
No, unfortunately, this is not a new type of piping, but we can definitely get you a couple examples to take a look at.
Thanks.
Mr. Chair, I spoke with Dennis today, just confirming the same. He is not opposed to this proposal, what they've proposed here in place of your regulations. He just would like the peer review and the applicant's engineers to confirm that the water won't freeze.
That's what I was wondering about. If
Yeah,
you're less than 4
because the
feet, well,
depth-
that's why I asked about New England. It
Doesn't
doesn't.
matter what the pipe is if the water freezes.
Yep.
Yeah, and obviously not susceptible to pressure of vehicles and stuff at being closer to the top. So long as those things can be provided for and signed off for with an engineer stamp and confirmed by the peer review, he's not at all opposed to what they provided.
If the, yeah, okay. But yeah, I think we want to know that it's used in.
I mean, I assume that those, the four, Mr. Chair, that the 4 foot depth isn't supposed to cover those,
Exactly.
right? Yes.
Yeah, to prevent freezing of what's ever in said pipes.
My problem isn't this one, it's what do we do on the next two? So then they're all at 3.5 foot. It's fine. We're just gonna go to a different pipe. I don't want to set a standard that's not gonna be applied, that can't be fairly applied. Either we change the bylaw or he builds it normal.
Yep.
Is that it? You want to continue or what do we got?
So that's it just for the major changes. I just pulled up the plan and profile here just to show that we do have that 3% level area up to the 75-foot station before starting any transition. Same thing for the cul-de-sac portion. We're primarily holding 1%. At the start of the cul-de-sac, we have determined that the max slope there is going to be 4.5%, so we're not exceeding that 5% requirement. So at least in terms of the roadway profile itself, any grades there, that has been corrected for it. We have adjusted structure locations accordingly just to make sure we still are able to get our flows into the basins, both underground and above ground as needed. Currently we're just waiting to hear back from peer review on any final comments or concerns that they might have on their end.
And so this has gone back out then to Stantec.
Yep, Stantec just picked up the plans and the updated stormwater today and be providing a third review.
Anything from? Anybody, question?
Clarification question.
Go ahead.
So I submitted a letter today with a lot of comments, and this is just sort of a summary and very consistent with my comments that I sent today. I'd like to know if the engineer can confirm whether the roadway profile, the required pipe cover, and the groundwater separation can all be met simultaneously in the mid-road section of Road A. That's where the pipe cover is reduced and groundwater constraints are present, particularly given that this area is upslope of an existing well, which is mine, without relying on waivers. So that would help us clarify whether the waivers are minor adjustments or whether the design depends on them because the site constraints cannot otherwise be met.
That's
So
something that the
through the chair.
engineer will also be asking you the same question.
Not a problem. Through the chair. Yes, primarily most of the roadway and most of the drainage infrastructure will be able to meet that 4-foot requirement. The only section that we will be having less than that 4-foot requirement essentially is within the first 100 or so feet of the roadway. And really the only flows that are being incorporated into that section of roadway is just the pavement itself. So majority of any of the concerns about runoff onto neighboring properties and stuff, all that flow will be contained and properly met through the town standards for pipe coverage, pipe sizing, or anything along those lines.
Well, what they're saying is they're not gonna be able to meet our current standards within the
Okay.
first 100 feet of the road. The
Okay,
answer
but
was-
they.
the answer was no,
Okay.
they're proposing something else. Not that they're building something else, but they're proposing something else.
Which happens to be right where the house abutting is.
Yes.
And that's where your well is.
Questions? All right, we're going to continue this until 4/28 at 7:15. Give you a month to get that ready, and I know you'll answer it, and then you'll bring it back, and I'd like to give you enough time for our engineer to take a look at it before we have our next meeting. So that we
Understood,
can,
not a problem.
I don't want to waste the abutters' time. If we can get everything done by the next meeting, that'd be great.
Understood, not a problem on that end.
All right, thank you very much. So meeting continued until 7:15.
And John, same thing with that one as well.
Yep, not a
Well,
problem, Mike.
we-
We'll get that over to you.
Regular meeting reconvened. Next is 3 Centennial Court site plan for 5 apartments. 7:30, we're there yet? Yeah.
So.
Okay.
It's still in there, of course, we're better.
Let's walk past. Hey, do you have it on the screen, or what do you got for? We have paper.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name is David Beck. I represent him. Site plan review, Brandon Realty Trust. We've provided an electronic copy submitted to Michael and Lauren, as well as this paper copy of our site.
Yeah.
Review. You can just walk us through what the CBA will be a part of.
Yep, sure. So, this property, 3 Centennial Court, we, actually had a meeting with you, I would say maybe 4 months ago, sometime shortly after we, received our approvals for 2-dimensional variances as well as 2 special permits, under 3.3 pre-existing non-conforming and 7.2. What we're proposing is the following here. If you don't mind, I'm just going to stand up, walk over here. So this right here is our existing site plan. Some of you may be familiar with the site. This was previously property owned by the Merrimack Hat Company. And in the packet that I had provided to everyone, it provided an exhibit, I believe, number 3, an historical plan from 1950 that showed, that was created by the Merrimack Cat Company, which showed what was pre-existing here. Okay, there were originally a series of parcels, parcel 9, parcel 7, 7A, 7B, and 8. I'm sorry, 7A, 7B, and 8 that make up 3 Centennial Court. Originally, there were 3 barns on the property. There was a barn that was initially a 13-bay barn, which, as you can see, exists today as a 5-bay barn. There was also another barn up to the, and this is going northwest to the northwestern side of the property. There was, I believe it was an 8-bay barn. And then there was also a barn that ran along this, what ultimately became a right of way. Okay, and I bring that up because there was some discussion during the ZBA questions. Okay, there were some questions that came up during the ZBA with regards to the right of way and frankly ownership. We did a full title report in order to provide. There was some concern that was offered by Dennis Westgate, and so we were able to confirm it. We've provided that as a submittal, just showing there is, in fact, this is a right of way. It's within the ownership of 3 Centennial, but it has a right of way that ends up here.
Where's the town's right of ways?
Well, so there's Centennial Court, and then there's a 10-foot right of way that runs along.
Does the town maintain that now?
So it's a little bit of, no, not
They
maintaining
don't,
it
they
for
don't
road.
plow.
No,
through there?
they do
Plow,
plow.
yes.
Yeah, there's plowing. Yeah, there's plowing. So getting to the actual project, so we have this barn that is here now. It's a 5-bay barn. We're looking to tear it down and replace it with a 5-unit townhouse complex like we had discussed last time, which would be 20 by 30 units with the living space essentially above, garage below. As you can see here, there would be 5 parking spaces within the garage. Then there's approximately 11 spaces along the southwestern side, just immediately in front of and to the sides of the actual build. And then there's another.
These are rental units and not homes.
These are rental units.
Yes.
Yeah. So these are rentals, and then there's another 14 parking spaces on the northern side.
Now, on parking spaces, one thing, when we did the 2000, when we did when we do a site plan, I don't know, it was the early 2000s, we did site plans, and one of the things we were told to do by both building inspector and the ADA, I don't even think it was an AAB at the time, was planning boards get the total number of spots.
So
It's the total number of spots. So I think you put 5 in the garage and 25 outside, or
so I had 25 outside. From what I saw at 225, that's where I came up to 1 per 25 ratio.
well, we have to count all parking spots. If you've got 5 inside or any under a porch or outside, they're all counted. So you have 30 parking spaces according to your plan. So that's 2 handicap spots.
Okay, I mean, we're happy to speak with that to the board about. We proposed 1 just based
That's one of the
off.
only things that gets us in trouble if we
Yeah.
set the ADA or the AAB. So
Through the chair, it seems like there's more than enough spaces.
Yes, why so many parking spaces?
Why so many?
Yeah.
So we also have this multifamily
Oh, okay.
area, so
Okay.
it also is with the intent. Hey, we have more than even just within our own.
I was gonna
unit,
say,
which-
it's like,
Yeah, no, this, when we first came here, there was some concern about there being some chaotic use of this property. Although.
pickleball court.
Not this plan, maybe the next one.
no,
but,
no.
But essentially what we're doing is rationing all of this in. I mean, there is some active parking there that's not chaotic, but this would be all lined. So everyone is aware of where the parking is and which parking is going to be for the units. And
And the multifamily is owned by your client as well?
yes, that's correct.
And is that's, I'm not, I should have driven down there, but I'm not, is that gonna be,
It's not essentially part of the property. All of the actual
Yeah.
construction is taking place on the
Okay.
southwestern side of the lot, on the southern side of the right of way.
but there's gonna be no
With
planning
the,
board action on the other, on the,
no, not really. We're not really changing anything outside of now delineating those specified parking spaces closest to the multifamily.
and how many units in the multifamily?
I believe there is, and Matt, if you can correct me, there's 10.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's still a lot.
No, site plan, you probably noticed it's largely utilities. A lot of the section is your utilities and your drainage and all of that.
So we had submitted a stormwater management plan with Michael and with Lauren. So
Conservation location,
spoken with conservation agent. We, in the materials, we actually had previously, this is a long-standing project from back to 2022. We had a wetland specialist go in at that time, give us a report to show what the BBW is. And so we go in for the Conservation Commission under order conditions, but we just wanted to wait to get some feedback from either peer review town engineer in order to make determination. So we're not making the changes to any plans.
what about DPW in the town for any easements that we have there for either underground piping?
So with the materials that I submitted last week that dealt with the title report, I'm happy to highlight, but in the deeds, as title came down, it was two-tiered. It was the right of way that was created as well as a utility easement.
But we're okay with whatever they're doing isn't gonna disrupt or any problem. We're taking a look at it. You know.
We're not aware. Well, I know Dennis has reviewed this plan. He brought up the issue of ownership of the, I'll call it, that it's labeled as Russell Ave traveled way here. Obviously, those who, it was mentioned that this is plowed, so we can see the sewer and water lines go right through it. There's an existing easement. There's an existing easement, right?
Yeah, so, and Michael, and it's really that July 21st,
Yeah.
2025 submittal with regards to title, which had the back title included. That kind of answered those questions for the ZBA chair.
Yeah, my only concern is, are you gonna be doing anything that's a concern that's gonna be a problem with, do we need, like a dig safe, does the town have anything under there that maybe isn't exactly on the plan that's looking for, that we're gonna hit if we rip this down?
It's a good question. I have to defer to our engineer to see whether or not we had contacted DigSafe even in advance. That's certainly part of this.
It's been, that area is poorly managed. I'd be glad to see you renovated and what you're doing there. But I don't know what's under the ground.
Yep.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, you can see it's not, this isn't a large area, so it seems very busy from a utility standpoint and also from the stormwater and you're not trying and capturing all of the runoff. So.
We've got emergency access on both ways. If we can get in from both ways, should be a problem.
That's right. And Michael, I think you had brought this up at the time of the application. Obviously, any right of way, there's no obstructions or anything along those lines. Okay.
And there's I know there's a landlocked lot right there, a house that doesn't have official access. You're giving them permanent access to get out of their house.
So it's interesting. They actually, this 1950 plan, it did encompass or foresee an access way here. There was, yeah, yep. So if you review, it's this attachment. You can see here that there was previously a right of way. Yeah, and connected up.
I think that was a school and they used to use that to drive around and drop the kids off or something. Yeah, it's simply a carrot.
And you remember that, don't you?
I was young.
So they have a permanent access on that side at least to the street, to Russell, is that officially Russell Ave still?
It's a good
Or is it your
question.
parking lot?
No, it's very much an access way. Originally, it's much broader than 10 feet. However, it's been delineated as right of way. Yeah.
Make sure those people can leave their house.
Yeah, there was, interestingly enough, there was a suit of some sort that was filed in the land court with regards to right of way access, not or including 3 Centennial in any way. that case is coming on, but that was.
That was the diagonally across the way, right? That's not.
To the north, yeah, actually dealing with that house.
So I don't need to work with them.
We're involved in that.
Of everything. Yeah, yeah.
Questions from the board? Comments? Anybody? Well, I think we're gonna need a, what are the other, what are the remaining questions? You'll have to redo data in another, handicap spot, I think in another one. Keep us out of trouble. What else? Make sure we get a clean sign off from conservation. What are the other, what are the remaining questions? You'll have to redo data in another, handicap spot, I think in. What else? Make sure we get a clean sign off from conservation for the help. And selectmen, it's any involvement with the selectmen? Is there any involvement that anything that they're gonna be worried about now? No street lights, yes. Is there any lighting, any planning in street lights?
That's not included in our site plan, that I'm aware of. No.
But I don't think we can even make it for it.
Yeah.
Are you planning on putting up any lights that we should be looking at as far as neighborhood impact, you know?
There are 2 existing streetlights. We're not gonna add any more.
Are those streetlights to the chair, are those streetlights on Russell Ave or are those on Centennial?
I don't know.
Matt.
But wherever they are, the selectmen pay the bills, so that's why I include them.
Actually, no. May I speak? I don't know the rules, but I have the information. There are 2 existing streetlights on my bill, on the poles on my roadway.
You pay the bill?
Yes.
Well,
Several cases.
I mean, through review, the planning board can impose conditions with regard to lighting. So that can be a conversation. I would imagine there'd be a preference for not a ton of lighting. Right, it's residential area.
Yeah.
Generally, only where there's an intersection, someplace where it's gonna be.
Yeah, and this is not gonna be heavily traveled.
It's really just the people who are.
Yeah. There's no place else to go.
Cul-de-sac, frankly. And one of the other things that the ZBA had asked us to do was to make sure that there was front emergency access coming out through the windows, so we're lighting the second floor for access, emergency access up front.
All right, choices are to continue this for a couple of weeks or to close the public hearing. Comments on?
Is there any other new information that we need to accept?
What are we waiting for? Yeah.
I mean, what would you like to do? I mean, is this something you want to have peer reviewed? Do you want to review stormwater? Do you want to have civil reviews?
Oh, is there is stormwater here and it's by the wetland, so.
You know, as was discussed, this will go before Conservation Commission.
And Concom will do a stormwater review. Go.
It's same report. They give it to both boards.
That's right.
So it makes sense to continue so we can have a chance to review what comes out.
We're looking at basements and they're looking at those.
I'm a little more than that.
So what would you like done?
I'd like to continue this until 7:25 on the 28th.
Do you want me to get a peer review?
No, if we, I mean, we're gonna wait for Concom to come back.
Yeah, I'm not trying to
No,
press you. I
I'm
just-
No,
I'm just staring at people. to
I'm
see
just,
what they
yeah, I'm
think.
just thinking, will the Concom's peer review be enough for the stormwater peer review done for Concom will deal with the stormwater issue? Are there other engineering things that we need to learn?
It's flat.
Yeah.
You know, it's a roof being replaced by another roof. Right?
Yeah, no, I know.
Already, so.
Yeah.
It would be subject, if anything, it would be subject to an acceptable water runoff study.
Then should we close it with the,
So I'd like to continue for a couple of weeks, just so we can get all the board, make sure everybody's ready, make sure we get all of the things. We had a couple questions on the access. So I'd like to continue it for 2 weeks, so that wouldn't be the 28th, that would be the 14th.
Okay.
Make it the 14th, 7:05. I don't think we have anything else in the 14th, do we?
To Zoom community.
Oh, yes.
7:15. 14th.
We have 16 grocery to 7:10 and zero mechanic at 7:15. Anything at 7:20.
7:20 it is. Continue to 4:14 at 7:20.
Before you actually continue it, do you want to solicit any comment from any public who are present, if anybody would like to speak?
Just did, didn't I?
Oh, anybody,
Anyone
is anybody on the Teams meeting who has questions, concerns, feedback?
Seeing none, meeting is continued till 7:20 on 14th. Thank you much.
Okay, thank you.
And we reconvene the regularly scheduled meeting, and next is we have a warrant article from Norfolk Solar.
So that's a. Yes, this is your public hearing for.
Is this actually a public hearing?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, okay, I didn't realize we'd already posted it.
Yeah, so unfortunately, it doesn't say public hearing on the agenda, but it does say public hearing, the public hearing notice
Okay.
posted
We have projected next to the,
next to the agenda.
paid for it.
Yep. So the first one, the ground mounted solar. I did send that out to town council for review. I'm just looking for that review. Bring up for reference now, they didn't have any.
And we changed the language to be compliant with the new state test.
We did, yes. I think town council did have a question on this one, so I'm sure I get to it.
Town council's comments being read?
There's comments are in blue, I think, and green, maybe.
On letter E, learn, it says or year yard instead of or year rear
Oh, I
yard.
thought we could do
I
that
thought
last
so
time.
as well.
I thought so too, but it's
You
still
did say
here.
that once.
Or rear yard.
Yeah, because the one I was looking at that time, anyway. All right, we'll get it.
Then something that's not the most updated version.
She said, are you removing the nameplate capacity equivalent? Has it been verified? And I believe the building commissioner did verify the rated nameplate capacity because that's what was changed
Mhm.
in order to be consistent, as was discussed and as was suggested by him. The D landscape screening was altered slightly by town council. Landscape screening is provided between the panels and view from the street and closest abutting properties as approved on a site plan by the planning board. I think I just had like landscape screening as like a placeholder on that, but from last version. You chose to eliminate the example in subsection E.
No, don't let him in. Don't let him in. Don't let him in. Leave him out.
That's why I call you a hair in my biscuit.
They're called worse.
So they, and on F, they added substantial land clearing for the purpose of solar installations beyond what is necessary to install the solar facilities. So I forget exactly what I
Why
did
did
there.
they, I don't, think that is necessary, because if the land clearing
Well, you're gonna,
beyond what is necessary, then that's, I mean, if someone, someone's decided to remove like pine trees because they don't, just because they have an excuse to.
It's necessary.
Well,
Necessary is very.
well, so
Without defining what is necessary, you can't use necessary.
substantially clear.
What is necessary? it's gotta be a certain footage, or it's gotta be a certain dimensions.
No, actually, I mean, I think I would say that we can't know the footage or the dimensions without knowing the elevation of the panels.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you know,
Yeah, everything.
they do a big study and they decide what's necessary for clearing before they put things in. So,
And this,
and they would have to justify this clearing has been deemed necessary by this study. I don't actually have a problem with the word necessary
I
there.
don't either, substantial, I do have a problem with, because that gets into a whole discussion about what's substantial, you know?
Yeah,
It's substantial, like, they're cutting, if someone's taking down like 20 feet that they don't need to, is that substantial? Is that
but do
not
we-
substantial?
the part of my challenge here though is, do we actually have any say to tell people whether or not they can clear trees, cut down trees on their land? And the answer is no. If I go in my backyard tomorrow and I want to cut down 20 feet worth of trees in my yard, I can do it.
No, you cannot. Conservation Commission won't let you. You live near a wetland.
I don't live near a wetland.
Yeah, no, that's, and you can cut the trees down and in acres
Right.
if you want. And then conservation isn't even triggered until you're removing those stumps, because then that would be the land disturbance. The
Yeah.
permit. I'm wondering if town council, and we just got these comments yesterday on these, I'm wondering if the inclusion of the word substantial is a hedging bets of, because if we just said clearing for the purpose, prohibiting clearing for the purpose of, so like something a little bit more definitive like that, I'm wondering if they put in that qualifier of substantial to avoid attorney general pushback on unnecessary, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I can ask town council that, and see if that's gets to the root of that suggestion if you like, or if you want to keep it.
So the planning board would make a determination whether it was substantial based on what?
It wouldn't be the planning board, it would be the building inspector.
No, this is for.
This is to make it come from
Yeah.
us.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
I
don't
mean,
have to decide.
and that's fine, like necessary makes sense because you can say, here was the study they did and these are the trees that have to come down for these panels to be effective. But I still question whether we can actually tell someone whether or not they can clear trees on their property. We can't.
We can do it if it's affecting the neighborhood, be evaluating the property.
No, we can't. I can't tell you not to chop down trees on your home.
Then why have a plan board? You could say that it's detrimental to the
So
neighborhood.
you're telling me that if you decide you want to cut down 5 trees in your backyard, that you have to come to the planning board to get permission to do it?
If there was anything that said that the planning board requires. Yes.
I don't
Yeah,
buy,
no,
it. I mean, I
yeah,
agree with the solar saying you can't build something. But I don't think anyone can tell me whether or not I can cut down the trees in my backyard.
You're right, I think the gap is something we can put in.
So
Can't say,
we actually don't have specimen, I don't think we have a definition of specimen tree in this town.
I think like the solar definition is like 3 feet of diameter of the trunk is.
So-
Yeah, but I don't think we have that, and I don't think our tree warden means.
Well, aren't you actually saying that there will be minimal land clearing for what's necessary to install?
And like, I agree with that. Don't get me wrong, you know who I am, Tom. I'm just saying, I agree that there should be minimal land clearing. However, I also think that if someone comes in and we say, oh, you can't do that, you can't cut down that many trees, they're gonna say, yeah, we can, and we're gonna lose.
But we did that when we were doing the solar for the large scale. Before,
Right.
you basically said you can't cut down trees. And if it's on a guy building a solar farm, this was the.
Yeah.
big one. I'm a guy building a solar farm, and if it's my land, I'm taking it to the lot, it's not there.
that's,
So we do that, we do tell people.
Share,
That gives you a harm to people.
you can, so because a solar farm for a dedicated solar farm use, where that is the only use on the property, the primary use of the property, you're required to either get a special permit or a site plan to this board, and you can put in those controls and conditions to tell them that they can't chop down particular trees, if that's, and then that can be enforced there on out. you are limited, but I would argue that you do have the ability to, control for that within the context of the application in front of you at that time. And then that's,
Yeah.
once it leaves here and is then constructed,
Whether they cut down on their trees.
whether or not then they do, I mean, it's,
And Nadia, what do you do after, unless they're cut down? You can- They're gone, they're down, so.
Yeah. You don't have to wait.
Substantial link.
Is there a-
Discouraged.
You seem to think
I
this.
mean, I have no problem
It's
with discouraged.
discouraged.
I have no problem with discouraging. I even have no problem with putting it in here. I'm just saying, I don't think we actually can regulate it.
I don't like discouraged because I thought discouraged would be exempt.
But all I'm saying is I don't
That's
think
you.
we can actually, I don't think we can, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's
it's
my,
gonna be difficult to enforce like you are
yeah,
pointing.
because I can do it tomorrow on my property. if
But
I
at
want.
least gives you, the board, the opportunity to address it through the context of the application initially.
Yeah.
And hopefully people are adults.
Yeah.
And respect.
Yeah.
Decisions of the board.
But what is the, is there any land clearing involved that we would be able to regulate? Because that says, discourage if it's.
So
beyond
when
what's
we
necessary.
look at, when we look at a proposal to build a house or, for a to develop a property, we usually see what their proposed envelope is for clearing. But we
Footprint.
really don't have control over it. Concom can say, you can't go any further than this because of the wetlands, but we
And
have.
setback, and setback.
But
can come
we
down.
have with trees. We've done that like frequently with trees. It's like you have to inventory your trees. You gotta see what trees are,
Yep.
as you said, certain.
And that's, but that's,
So,
if
and
it's
that's-
that's for a subdivision.
You're adding on a dwelling,
But I,
adding on a new
Yeah,
place.
I've got,
but this is a structure.
yeah,
And so if there's no harm to leaving it in,
no,
I would like to leave it in. Because I think that without the word discourage, because I think by having it there, it does discourage it. And if someone wants to say, two options. One is, well, they're gonna take down more trees anyways, my property can do what I want. Well, then they can, but I think
Yeah.
that it doesn't
Yeah.
hurt to leave it in because that sets up a flag to people. It's, it's sort of a guidance, as they said in Pirates of the Caribbean. It's not guidance.
Well, how about,
So what you're suggesting then is land clearing for the purpose of solar installation beyond what is necessary to install the solar facilities is prohibited.
And I think it would be beyond what is necessary to install the solar facilities
right now it says shall be discouraged.
and only allowable upon grant of a
That
waiver
would
from the
work.
planning board.
Okay.
So it eliminates shall be
Discouraged,
discouraged by the planning
but
board.
that says that we need to know what is the area needed for the, I think it's necessary to install the solar facilities. What is that? They will have to provide us the footprint.
Yeah, that's what they'll get from their solar.
Yes, and then what we're saying is anything outside that footprint that you give us is discouraged or prohibited.
Well, outside the footprint of the
Plus
facility
the
itself, plus
shade, yeah.
construction, the
Yeah,
ability to
'cause-
construct it and shading.
You bring someone in to look at solar on your roof, they're gonna say, sure, we'll put solar on your roof, but you need to take down that tree, and that tree.
Yeah.
And they've got the program, they can tell you
Mhm.
in a heartbeat what you need to take down
And
if you
you
want to
need
do it.
access to the site, so there'll be some
So if they,
clearing for that
Yeah.
purpose.
so if this site thing, when they come in, they give us the layout, where the solar's going and how much square footage it's gonna take up to do the solar, we would be able to limit them to just that, and not go beyond that footprint.
We would be able to encourage them to not come down.
Discourage them, but not say no.
Well, no, the way it's written now, we just wouldn't grant them a waiver for,
That's good enough. That's a no. If
Yeah.
it's three people say so. I like
Still argue, we lose, but.
Oh, yeah, you know,
Yeah.
I-
I'm not even going, I'm not playing it out.
And the attorney general lawyers could look at that and go, you can't tell them they can't. See what happens.
No one's like, okay, we'll strike it, but,
Yeah.
you know, it's like, let's leave it in and see how it plays out. That's my recommendation.
Yeah.
Fun, isn't it? You never knew how much fun playing one.
Yeah, it is, because it certainly is complicated. Yeah.
And then the last one is a simple edit that she suggested, and I'm sure it can be incorporated. It was just the language you had in there, it's under G. The planning board may adopt from time to time amend reasonable rules and regulations for administration of this site plan section. So she just said amend its site plan review regulations for the administration of this section. So yeah. And that was it.
We like it?
Public.
Yeah, good.
Well, I'm not sure. As far as year-round screening, I heard that that was something that could be proposed. I don't see anything here in the language that's referring to that, because the 40-panel array that's in front of our home is visible.
So right now we say landscape screening is provided between the panels and the view from the street and the closest abutting properties. So would you like it to say landscape year-round screening?
Absolutely, year-round.
You just start the
Yeah.
sentence
And
with
we
year,
say,
we'll put the word year round in to start the sentence.
yeah, and
Yeah.
then as well as, you know, it could be native plants, it could be even more specific, it could be arborvitaes or evergreens, arborvitaes.
Yes.
I think maybe, you know, between the panels as approved by the planning board, I think, but that's a place where we do have these discussions. So should be.
And I know also that well, I was totally more uncomfortable with fencing. I have seen it in language in some other towns, of course, up to a certain level.
I hate fencing.
And would you be happy with a fence there?
I mean, I hate the solar array. It's, I mean, it's to mitigate what, because we can't avoid this.
Yeah.
So,
Fencing is better than looking at the thing, but if you look at what we're asking up there, I guess my question is, if this did happen, if we had this bylaw in place when they came in with yours, would this have helped you? Would it help prevent what you got?
no, because essentially the question would have been, why go to the extreme of excavation, taking down trees, putting this structure that is not fit for the character of the neighborhood at all, when you can just simply put them on your roof. So,
So with this bylaw in place, this would have been prevented, you think? They would have put it on their roof instead of on the side of the house.
Well, they would have had to come to us and we would certainly have asked the
Right.
question.
There would have been pushback. There would have been neighborhood discussion, and it would have been, whoa, because, you know, and I think I said in one of these previous meetings where
Yeah.
the neighbor said to me, well, the roof can't support it. And there's two ways of looking at that. Well, the roof can't support 40 panels, but the roof could support 24 panels. So to answer your question, this certainly would have helped us. We're of the opinion, someone mentioned, what was the word you're looking for? Talking about trees, like what is, sorry, I'm
Substantial.
substantial, and I was gonna say, well, come see 18 Plumley Road and you'll see substantial, because it went from everything to nothing, right? So that's pretty substantial to me, so it absolutely would have helped, and, certainly our goal here is to push this forward for the rest of the town. But at the same time, I gotta admit, I'm still kind of like, I'm looking for a little enforcement for what's already been done. And that might be above and beyond this board, but when you sit back and you say 15 years of property taxes in this town, and we don't have to talk about what those are, you kind of look at it like, well, I feel like this guy slipped one past the building. I feel like there was not rules in place and it just happened. And now it's like, well, Joe and Rosanna, you gotta deal with it. And we want to help the town, but we also kind of want to,
The curb appeal in front of our home has been destroyed. There's no other way to describe this. I feel that residents need to come in front of the board and say, and try to be reasonable. People want solar panels, fine, put them on your roof. Go to this extreme of excavation, tearing down all the trees in front of our home, putting this gigantic 40-panel solar array. This is not reasonable. And also know that these owners, also said that, well, the trees are diseased. Who's going to prove it? But only the trees that were right in front of our home, where the solar array is, are diseased. So there's been a lot of gaslighting here. So that's why we need someone to have the voice of reason and say, well, here are all the facts.
Well, we're here, you don't go to a planning board if you're gonna cut down trees, and if they didn't put up a solar farm or any solar thing, they could just cut all the trees down, and they don't. They wouldn't go to a planning board, they wouldn't go to anybody. The only reason we're allowed to even talk about them, how many trees they can cut is because they're doing something else. They're putting up
Right,
solar panels.
right.
So we really can't help you with trees.
Yeah, well, I guess that's my point. If the individuals at 20 Plumley Road had gone to planning board and said, this is what we want to do, we want to do a solar array versus putting them on the roof, where would it have gone from there? Or if we had been told that this was going to happen within this 30-day time frame, would there have been any change to this? And I truly don't think there would.
So I think if you had been told within the 30 days, if you had known within the 30-day timeframe, you could have gone to the building inspector essentially and said, please don't issue the building permit, but they wouldn't have a way to really have the discussion. By introducing this bylaw, now you will be told, you would have been told, under law, you would get notice that there was going to be a public hearing. You just saw us have 3 public hearings.
Right.
There would have been a public hearing like you just saw for this proposal, because it would now be a site plan and we would have to review it.
Okay, thank you, because I needed an answer to that question as far as had I been here within 30 days, what would have been the net effect?
I think in the old, before this, there would have been still a minimal net effect.
There's also
Right.
one other thing we have to discuss is why I wanted to go through a site plan process. There's an appeal. If we vote to approve something, you can appeal it in court. Can't do that unless it goes through a planning board.
But the other thing with the planning board, I think particularly with this one, is we do weigh the impact on the community residents. We're always asking questions. I mean, you may have seen that too, and trying to mitigate as much as we can the impact on residents and neighbors.
And neighbors show up as you get to see.
Oh, yes, and I recognize that this is very uncommon. You don't have other residents doing this to their neighbors for this particular reason. So yeah, obviously the site plan, as we're changing this, is very requires. I guess that's my point, is now there's a 40-panel array. How do you hide 40 panels?
Poorly.
Yeah. Just another question. Do you have light refraction from that?
Yes.
That's reflecting to your.
Absolutely.
Is that?
It's facing south, so as we walk our dogs, it's glare. It's glare from the house too, because we look out, all windows, all front-facing windows are facing this array.
so it's not looking at us like this. It's our house is here. It's facing this way, but it's not an exact, it's, you get it.
Plus, this is not a low profile. This is something else that I'm not seeing. This is this is the pitch for pure efficiency purposes with no regard to neighbors, nothing.
Yeah, well, I think having the bylaw in place does require notification of the neighbors. It does require a public hearing for this kind of thing. So had this bylaw been in place before this happened, you would have had more recourse than you did, because without the bylaw even going to the building inspector, you wouldn't have had any basis upon which to deny it.
Now,
This,
one of the-
this gives us a basis upon which. to
And
decide.
one of the other things is your neighbors would have known that you objected.
Yes.
And it's very hard for people to say, well, I don't care.
Well, your neighbor hasn't had a problem saying that, right?
Yeah, that's, unfortunately, in this
So different,
instance,
yeah.
they literally said to me, what's the problem? What's the problem?
But that was after it was put up. So at
Right.
this point, it's like, who, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But if you'd come in and said, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
We hate that.
And, you know, we have, like, over the years, I'm thinking about, you know, remember the berm we required behind the church when they built the church. There are all kinds of things where, that, you know, we looked for ways to
Yes,
mitigate light pollution for
Right.
neighbors and things like that. And this certainly causes light pollution. Yeah, no.
And because it's a site plan, and we can look at and have them mitigate any impacts. We're asking them to mitigate the impact, whether that's light, that's whether it's visible, that's all we're asking them to do. So to not devalue or make what's,
But to circle back to your question, I mean, as this board goes, there's nothing we can do retroactive. We can't invent a law and bring it back to before this thing was built. And, you know, so, you know, it's,
yeah, so that's the problem, is that,
I mean, you're still stuck.
we have a house that's very similar to ours, 2 houses down, their home faces nature, just like in the pictures around here, and our home doesn't.
And he won't even do planning. He won't put any planning.
Well,
He said initially, yes, and then it was, well, it got delayed. It was supposed to be October, it got delayed. And, it's anybody's guess.
this which is my point of year round, if you're going to put in the structure of those sides, then you need to be forced to pay to have it, to minimize these visual impacts for the neighborhood. So,
And one of the things that we can do when we say, as a condition of this approval, you must put in these plantings. And, you know, sure, you can say arborvitae, but you can run over to Weston Nurseries and buy a bunch of 3-foot tall arborvitaes and you're not getting any screening for a while.
right, and that's the other point. You
So we can
take
say
a decade.
minimum of kinds of things.
Right, right. That's why you can't hide 40 panels. You really need to have them on the roof.
Mhm.
So, yeah, all I can ask is that if this happens going forward, taking into the account home values, it's,
well, it's one of the things we have to consider, is the effect on the neighborhood.
Yeah.
The values, the impacts of
And when we,
quality of life.
and again, as Margaret just said, you know, we can require certain, like if the panels next to you are 8 feet off the ground, 10 feet off the ground, we can mandate, we can say, oh, we have to put this type of, this type. You know, I mean, we can do that.
And on these things, we make the best decision we can and pretty guaranteed that if we deny it, the applicant's gonna appeal it, take it to court, and if we approve it, somebody from the neighborhood is gonna appeal it and take it to court. So we're gonna make as clear cut as a decision as we can, so that it's fair, but it's gonna lean to the quality of life of the neighborhood.
We like our neighborhood.
That's gonna be what is the quality of life, the impact on the neighborhood. We do have one more thing to go. Is that it? Or I thank you very much for your contributions.
Yeah, and don't forget to get your neighbors to town meeting to make sure it passes.
Do we name?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both, appreciate it.
You wanna, continue that, or you wanna make a motion to recommend to a town meeting?
Have you guys driven by the solar panels, you know?
No.
I don't think it's that bad.
It's not that.
I don't think it's that bad either.
I think it's
I understand.
honestly ridiculous.
But I didn't see it before. They're comparing it to.
I've seen it from, it was once.
Right.
But again, they don't own the property.
No, I agree.
Just to come where we are being.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got a comment letter we have to.
From their perspective.
Oh, so, I'm sorry.
I haven't looked at.
Yeah, so we got one more.
Second, you got one more, but did you want to take action on that, or do you want to take action on both the difference between the two houses?
I would like, we'll do the second one, take action.
Okay.
At the same time.
And this one's really straightforward. So this is your other public hearing for zoning bylaw amendment for the accessory dwelling units, which was approved very recently. And this is the attempt to correct for the intent of this section. So this section G of the new accessory dwelling unit bylaw, titled grandfathering, previously, as you see in strike through, accessory dwelling units permitted or allowed by a special permit at the time of this bylaw section are exempt from these provisions. And unfortunately, that I guess wasn't specific enough because it ended up being interpreted that the ADUs that were approved before this bylaw still needed to adhere to the 900 square foot minimum in order to be captured under what the state has coined the phrase of protected use ADU. So we're essentially still sending grandfathered ADUs to the ZBA, which was not the intent. So now the language is any ADU approved by building permit, special permit, or variance in existence prior to the adoption of this new bylaw, maybe I should just say bylaw, is to be treated as a protected use ADU. So we included that language to be specific, regardless of area, height, setbacks, size, or any other feature that would otherwise be non-conforming. It looks like town council added to existing requirements. And hopefully that is enough to say that if it exists and was approved, it can continue
to exist.
So
Is there a motion to recommend
So
both,
moved.
both bylaws?
So, second.
Their discussion on the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
You got it. Those are both. All
right.
And comment letter 45 Melvin Street.
The letter you provided was the one that we drafted up with the
yeah,
47 Main Street.
you had asked for
So we
the,
have to change, so it's basically when they did 47 Main Street behind Pickering, we did a letter because we don't have standing. That basically said that we don't have standing, but if we did, this is what we would look at. This project does not meet that. This project does not meet that. I don't know enough about this, language would have to be changed. But the last thing in your package is a copy of the letter that we written for these. And it doesn't hurt to stick it in, just to go on the record. I would advocate this.
I think some letters.
Hmm?
I think the Conservation Commission intends to submit a similar letter.
Like a much.
Okay.
So, should we, do you want to make a decision of whether we want to adapt this letter to 47 Main? I would like to.
yes, give us some direction if you want to do a vote,
Yeah.
that works too, but.
Like to adapt this to the new project. And, these are, do they exceed 2.5 stores? I'm just, because of that
Yes,
change.
this one will be 3.5, I
Okay.
believe.
So a lot, but it's not an over 55, it's a regular.
Correct. And it'll be ownership too, because it'll be townhouse. I'm pretty sure it's ownership.
I think it is, I think that's why we only get like a couple.
Exactly. Yeah,
Like-
yeah, we're not getting.
Yeah, we're not getting a restricted house.
Do you want to comment from the board?
Yeah.
It's signed by the chair, so this.
Is there a motion?
Second.
All those in favor of sending a letter? What's it going to be called? What kind of letter?
Comment letter.
Yes, comment letter regarding the 40B addressed to the zoning board.
Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Good. Well, I'm not so sure we don't have standing because we designated that area through a subdivision earlier as a runoff.
I was wondering. Hmm? But that would be.
When we did the subdivision on the top above it, we had the drainage easement down the road. And it was,
They can build in a drainage easement.
but they're building more units that are gonna go, that water's gonna go into the same area that we designated before as a runoff area.
So they're not building it in the drainage area.
No, their runoff's gonna go to
Go
the
right
same
where
place
the
that the
area.
planning board designated in the past as a runoff area.
I mean, is that something we could,
I don't think you can require them to come before the board for. any-
I'm just saying, we have standing, we can give our opinion that, to look at that, because in the past, we designated that downhill as a,
I can include something in the letter.
with the capacity for the above, okay, got it. Okay, so that can be included.
is one thing I remember. Right, went late this week.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
What do we got, anything for, any updates or? Time's running out with the school, huh? How soon? 1 month?
Just had spring break,
Mm.
7 more weeks classes.
What do you do to rip up?
Pardon me?
But who's counting?
Anything else you got, for us?
Got nothing.
The Historical Society has a program on Thursday. First part of which will be the Daughters of the American Revolution, describing the process of getting certified. And the second half of it is,
I don't think I qualify.
is a presentation on Polly D. Bretch,
Which seems really good.
who was very,
She's an excellent.
frankly, from an Upton perspective, very influential in the anti-slavery efforts from Upton.
Cool.
So,
We have a, Upton was central.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah.
I mean,
And there's a
the building
book
right over there.
called Husband, Wife, Master, Slave, about a couple that escaped from the South, and Upton is mentioned probably in that book, because that was where a lot of the speakers came and they filled, yeah.
so if you could find that, because I've not found anything to that effect.
Oh, I have it. I have the book.
All right.
I lent it to you.
I've been reading the 1966 master plan,
Mhm.
demographics.
Mhm.
No kindergarten, no pre-K. It started at 6. It was 0 to 5. That was one demographic,
Mhm.
and then 6 because you started school at 6.
Yep, that's when I started school in Charlton. We didn't have kindergarten in the 60s.
You want to borrow the book or you just want the citation?
I would like to read the book.
Oh, it's a really good book.
What's the title?
I think it's Husband, Wife, Master, Slave, or Master, Slave, Husband, Wife. Because that's what they discussed, both black, but for woman.
Yeah. Speaking of master slave,
Yeah,
it's
so
good
it's
stuff for me to do.
Oh, was that the,
Meeting adjourned at 8:41.